This is why the God of the
Roger, do you want
Bible
to say anything?
is wise.
Me?
Yeah, sure. I need to take a break for like 5 minutes, but like I'll come back and talk right after that. So I just figured.
Yeah, I mean, I could, if that's of interest, but sure. I suppose that one thing that could sort of be said here, just because seems like there's only one mod, so I guess I could say this is, I feel as though terms are sort of being used in very loaded ways to such an extent that
Example.
it's unclear what like absolute and
I defined that earlier. Weren't you listening?
I was going back and forth. I'm preparing for my tutorial tomorrow.
Okay. Well,
But
you and I have talked enough where I've
yeah, we've
defined
talked.
the
We've talked.
absolute. Yeah. I've defined the absolute to you, or absolute. I've defined that to you a number of times. I can do it again if you like.
Yeah, sure. If you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something is absolute in and of itself if it exists in virtue that it is unconditionally non-derivative and non-dependent.
Right.
And that
So
it didn't, and if it did not just spontaneously pop into existence. Something is absolute if it possesses a satiety, that it is self-contained and unconditionally non-derivative and non-dependent.
Hey, Tangelo.
yeah, a
Okay?
Tangelo. I feel like I might have more to say to Darth than I do, but if you do, Tangelo, I'm not sure if you do.
What's up, guys? What is the question?
So Roger, do you accept that
No.
anything is absolute?
In that kind of sense, I mean, I'm a Platonist, so I'm going to think that abstract objects are.
Unfortunately, though, that the abstract objects wouldn't stand in causal relations unless you want to argue for that.
No, I don't. Yeah, of course, I don't. I don't think that
Okay,
Platonic.
so that would be a no-go then.
Well, do absolute things have to stand in causal relations?
Okay. Um, if you're going to talk about that something is concrete, right? If something concretely exists, I want to know why it possesses identity.
Well, I don't think Platonic objects are concrete.
We're not talking about that.
Okay.
Okay. You can do this shtick like you did the previous other times, okay, and try to divert the discussion over onto a territory where you're comfortable in giving, and I don't mean this to insult you, but to give mini monologues on Platonic forms and Platonic philosophy, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about that one or more concrete things exist. Do you accept that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do any of these things that exist possess identity?
By identity, do you mean identity over time?
No, it can include that, but it doesn't have to be. Does it have identity at all in any sense?
Yeah,
And
I would say so. In any sense, yes.
I don't mean that something possesses identity if and only if somebody conceptualizes that as identity. I'm saying it possesses identity in terms of its characteristics.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Now, other than Platonic forms, is there any concrete thing that possesses identity?
Any concrete thing yeah, I'd say that objects are identical to themselves.
Okay. So, do they possess that identity because they're unconditionally non-dependent and derivative?
I think that they possess that kind of identity because it's necessarily true.
That's not a. That's a dodge of an answer.
No.
You listen, Roger. You and I have debated a number of times before. I know all of your verbal gymnastics. Okay, so you're not going to bamboozle me. That wasn't an answer to my question.
Yes, sure. So the reason, okay, so when we're talking about identity claims, so in logic, if things are identical, then that's a necessity relationship.
Sir, does something institute that identity exists? Or does nothing institute and secure that identity exists?
Nothing does it. It just it's a definitional feature of the
Okay,
object
no. Listen. So
or
there's
of
a
the relation.
concrete object that possesses identity, say.
Could you repeat that?
Do you know what say is? It's a aseity.
Yeah, aseity. Yeah, like divine
You know what
aseity.
aseity
Yeah,
is?
yeah,
Okay. Well, aseity can mean that something is unconditionally non-dependent and non-derivative. Is
yeah.
there anything that possesses identity in an unconditionally non-derivative, unconditionally non-dependent and non-derivative way?
Yeah, if anything quantifies over everything, then yeah, I would say that things like probably things that are metaphysically true, like metaphysical
Okay,
truths.
what you are doing again is what you have always done. Okay, I am familiar with this strategy. You're just generalizing based upon your background knowledge of talking about philosophy. What you just
Yeah,
said was not specifically germane to my question.
I mean, if you think I think it did answer your question.
No, there were words which kind of in a very vague general way was giving a response, but it was not germane. Is there one concrete thing that exists that possesses that identity in an unconditionally non-dependent, non-derivative way? I'm talking
Yeah,
about concrete objects.
yeah. Okay, so I have a water bottle. So I think the water bottle is identical to itself.
Okay. No. Okay. Now, the
It
bottle,
can't
what
not
it
be
is within a
identical to
time
itself.
index. Okay. Now, has that water bottle possessed identity eternally? Did that water bottle come into existence?
Okay, so that's a different question, right? So the question of whether or not objects possess identity.
Why does that concrete object exist? Did it pop into existence out of nothing? Has it always existed where it is unconditionally non-derivative or dependent? Or does the water bottle in a specific time index possess identity? It equals itself because something imposes that in that time index. Which of those three things do you choose?
I would take the indexical account. Um, I think that things are identical to themselves, like
You're
as
doing
for
it
some
again,
time twice.
Roger. You're doing what you always do. You are dodging, and what you're doing is you're trying to talk your way around it with philosoph speak light. I've told you this before. I'll tell you it again. I wasn't born yesterday. You are not specifically answering the question that is germane to the question. I gave you three options for the identity of a concrete object. I said, which of those do you choose? And all you just gave me was I don't want to say it was a word salad, but it was just a vague generalization that was non-informative. I asked you which of the three that you choose. Do you need me to repeat the three choices?
No, I think I would choose the third choice. I think that the indexical account is probably plausible.
Okay. Is the third choice because it popped into existence?
No, the third choice that you gave is that things are identical to themselves pursuant to like a temporal slice.
Okay, so it is absolute within itself.
Absolute within itself.
Either something is absolute, okay, unconditionally non-derivative, non-dependent, or it just spontaneously popped into existence. Do
Well,
you
okay.
okay? So is the concrete object itself unconditionally non-dependent, or is it derivative? Which is it?
I mean, it's derivative, but I don't see
Okay,
how
then
it
something then
being
okay
derivative
then now
means it doesn't
concrete
possess
objects
self-identity.
concrete objects therefore possess identity derivatively. Is that correct? Roger? Do concrete objects?
I don't think that that's how it's.
It's not a slippery. I am being, you know what? That's sleazy of you, okay? I'm not being slippery. I'm being very methodical and precise and clear. So stop with that. Does the concrete object possess identity unconditionally, non-dependently, and derivatively, or not?
Unconditionally and derivatively.
Wow, you know what? You're a philosophy student, and I've repeated the same question
You
several times, and you're still
you said
confused?
no. I'm not. No, I'm not confused. I think I've already answered it. I think that that if you're
No,
talking
you
about
haven't.
identity,
No, you haven't answered it, and stop. You have been giving me these vagaries of a response, which I know you're better than that. This is just a form of an intellectual dodge. I gave you a dichotomous question. Either something possesses identity, either
yeah,
because it is unconditionally non-dependent and unconditionally non-derivative, or not. Which pole of the dichotomy do you choose?
unconditionally non-dependent. Yeah. So I would say that objects have identity relations.
Okay, if you dodge one more time, I will no longer speak with you, not only now, but in the future. You have deployed this routine of pretending you're answering honestly when you are dodging. I just gave you a dichotomy. Either a concrete object possesses identity, either because it is unconditionally non dependent, or not. Which is it,
Yeah.
Roger?
Yeah. I think. I don't know. I think that we just might be talking past each other. So
Okay,
maybe
we're done, Roger.
Can I
Roger,
interject here quick?
oh, you can in a second. I just want to say my last word. Roger, we're done conversing because you are a fundamentally dishonest person. You're cordial, you're polite, but you're dishonest. I asked you a true dichotomy. It was a legitimate dichotomy. You didn't object to it being a dichotomy, saying there's only one or there's three options. And you are, because you don't like the implications of answering one way or another, because you're afraid of where it's going, you're pretending that you're answering when you're not. That is a dishonest response.
No, well, I respect that you think that. I think we
Oh, it's
just.
abundantly clear to everybody who's listening.
I'm not sure about that.
I can perfectly understand Dart's frustration because he has been very precise and clear in his questions, and you have answered in a very vague, evasive manner.
Yeah.
But I think we can ask that maybe in different words which eventually mean the same. Either the bottle that we are talking about, either it was created or it was not created, and then it would be self-existent and eternal without depending on anything that created it. So it would be either dependent on a necessary cause, or it would be just existing on its own.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I
Did I
understand that
formulate
question.
that correctly, Dart?
That seems like a different type of question.
That is a good attempt. I would probably modify that. But Roger, being a philosophy grad student, is smart enough to answer the question truthfully and honestly, but he refuses to do so while pretending he is answering
No,
it because he doesn't want to go with either way he answers the question. He realizes that's a problem for his world system. But because he doesn't want to be transparent, he tries to pull the wool over my eyes and everybody listening like he's honestly answering, which you are not, Roger.
well, no, I'm really not being malicious. I just think that.
I didn't say you're being malicious.
Yeah, well, I'm okay. Well, I don't look.
You're being deceptive.
Roger, can you answer the question as I formulated it? Do you think that a bottle is self-existence, or that it had a beginning and therefore a cause?
Yeah, I think that. I think in a yes, that I would take the latter option, right? So like it had some.
Okay, then why didn't you answer the same question that I asked, that Otangelo just simply reformulated the same question? Why couldn't I get a straight answer out of you?
Well,
Explain
because
that to me.
the words, the way that you were employing particular words made it kind of there are multiple ways of interpreting what you were
You know
saying.
what? You know what? Stop lying. You are disgusting. You know, that's an outright lie. You know what pisses me
I'm
off more
not
than anything
lying.
else? Yeah, you are lying. You're absolutely lying right now. I broke it down to its most elementary forms that even a grade schooler can understand. Either something is unconditionally non-dependent or not. What is there not to understand about that?
Just using the phrase unconditionally non-dependent
Yeah,
is
it means that
very
there is
loaded.
no. Oh, you know what? Fuck you. You know what? You're a piece of garbage. Excuse my French to the audience. You're a lying little scumbag. There's nothing loaded in there. What is the premise in saying that something is unconditionally non-dependent or not? What's the premise that's hidden and objectionable?
What does it mean for something to be conditionally non-dependent? Like what is?
I didn't say that.
No, I mean in the sense
Sir,
that when
I said
okay.
listen to me. When I say unconditionally non-dependent, it means that in no respects whatsoever, there is in no way or sense that it is entirely non-dependent. Okay.
Yeah, in other words,
When I say
uncaused, right?
when I say something is unconditionally non-dependent, in other words, there are no qualifiers here. It is unconditionally non-dependent. There are no conditions whatsoever that it can be construed as dependent. If I say to you if something is unconditionally non-dependent or not, okay? Now, if you pulled this crap with your philosophy professors, they'd smack you upside the head, metaphorically speaking. But you want
No,
to pull this with me because we're on Clubhouse. I think
no,
you're a deceitful young man.
no, Darth. I mean, the thing is that like normally, I mean, if that's kind of the what you're expressing, normally we would just, I think you just say like something that has like a necessary existing thing. I think that expresses the same
Stop
point.
bullshitting, Roger. I ask you, is something unconditionally non-dependent or not? There's nothing loaded about that. There's nothing
Okay, fine.
complicated about it. It doesn't get any
Well, now,
simpler than that.
okay, well now that you've clarified your terms, like I wouldn't say that a water bottle is unconditionally non-dependent.
Okay, Roger, I've made myself clear from the get-go. I've made myself clear to you on multiple other interactions. You are in a very cordial representation, being evasive and deceptive. That's why I'm pissed at this moment. I'm not
I
pissed
mean,
because you're being abusive or you're being out of line. I'm pissed because you're lying, okay? Now, is any concrete object unconditionally non-dependent in your view?
no.
God, he just said a water bottle.
Okay. So nothing is unconditionally non-dependent. So
No concrete object. Yeah, no
there is
concrete
no
object.
concrete. Okay. So for any concrete object that exists, for any and all, is there an infinite regress of causal succession?
Okay. I think that an infinite regress of causal succession could be possible.
I didn't ask you if it could be. I said, is it?
Difficult question.
Now, do you understand the philosophical nightmare that you face, the doomsday situation you face,
no, I
when
understand the issue. Yeah.
when you reject that anything at all is unconditionally non-dependent, that nothing is, and I will categorize that by that it is the absolute. That means in terms of its essential properties, they are immutable. Okay? Now,
Yeah.
and unconditionally non-dependent. When you push that doomsday button, that nothing is unconditionally non-dependent, then you're going to have to simply say that something has come into existence from nothing.
Right. So I think that
why does anything exist at all, Roger?
Yeah, so I'm more leaning towards the position that the past could be eternal.
Roger, why does anything exist at all?
Why does anything exist at all?
Fundamentally, why does anything exist? Hey, Tangela, you're typing in your keyboard.
Yeah, someone's tippy tapping.
Roger, why does any concrete object exist at all?
I'd say that they're antecedent reasons for them, but I'm guessing you're looking for some kind of like ultimate explanation.
Roger,
And so I think that
stop giving me philosophy speak. Stop dodging. Answer the question.
yeah, so I think that at bottom, I might not know the ultimate answer to that question, but I
Okay.
suppose
Okay. No. I may not. Do you have an answer? Instead of giving me double talk. You see, Roger, I don't dislike you as a person. Okay.
okay, I
We've
appreciate
had
that.
many interactions. I do not dislike you. I do like you. What I don't like is when you're dishonest with me, and then you tell
Okay,
me to
well,
my face that you're being honest when you're not. That's what sets me off.
right.
Now, why does any concrete object at all exist? Do you have an explanation for that?
Any concrete objects at all? So I would say that, for instance, let's take the example of the bottle. I think that the reason the bottle exists is because someone manufactured it and brought it into
No,
existence.
Roger, please stop. I'm not a fifth grader. Okay, I'm old enough to be your dad. Okay, probably maybe old enough to be your grandfather. Okay,
Possibly.
I want you to give me, because you're a philosophical grad student, as you claim. I want you
Yeah,
to give me an answer that you wouldn't try to pawn off on a fifth grader. Okay,
sure.
why does anything at all exist
Yeah,
concretely?
why does
Why?
anything exist? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if there's uh it could just be a brute fact that things exist. I don't know if I have a
No,
satisfactory answer to this question.
Roger.
I don't want to act like I have
So
an
you
answer
have
when I
okay.
don't.
So you have no explanation of how you instantiate identity, do you?
I don't know if I need an answer to the why is there anything question in order to have an
So
answer to the identity question.
Roger. If you're a grad student, you are more than
Yeah.
capable of understanding what I'm saying to you right now.
Yeah,
If
I
you
get it.
have no explanation of why anything concretely exists, then in fact you have no explanation of why anything actually has identity or what makes it real. Is there something that is concretely identifiable that imposes identity? See, no answer.
Okay.
If you were
I'll
talking, I didn't
continue
hear
that
you.
explanations for why the
Is
universe
he
came into
breaking up for you
existence.
guys?
So this is sort of like a division
Hold on a
point,
second. Is
Yeah,
division
he
fallacy
breaking
yeah,
up for you
yeah. He's
potentially.
guys?
breaking up a
What?
little bit.
Okay, I didn't hear any what you said the last 4 or 5 sentences because you're breaking up.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I got a poor connection.
Is
Yeah,
there
I apologize.
something? Is there something that imposes identity whereupon identity is real? Is something imposes identity where identity is real?
I don't think identity. No, I don't think that. I don't. I think identity is real, but I don't think that anything needs to impose it.
Okay, so it's is there one concrete thing that possesses identity?
One concrete thing that possesses identity. Yeah. In the sense that it
Okay, now,
has
but there's nothing that
necessary and
imposes that.
sufficient conditions.
So
Yeah.
so so hold on a second. So there's nothing extrinsic that imposes the identity on the concrete object. Is that correct?
No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
yeah. Roger, you are a philosophical grad student. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, I don't think that there's.
Okay,
I don't
I'm
think that.
asking. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, so there's nothing extrinsic that is imposing the realness of identity. Now,
No, yeah, I don't think that's.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
No.
Now, the concrete object, whatever it may be, okay,
Hmm.
it possesses identity. Does it possess identity because it's absolute within itself? Its identity is self-contained.
No, I wouldn't say it has like
Okay.
like app
Okay.
like
So okay. So
and you no, I
Roger.
don't
So
think that.
Roger. So there is nothing either internally or externally that makes the identity real. Then is that correct?
Again, I think that it's it is true to say that the object is identical with
Can
itself.
you answer my question instead of trying to give me a philosophically worded answer, which is a pretense that you're answering my question when it was not? Now, I wouldn't
Do
have to have this
okay.
disposition with you if you would just transparently answer the question. Are you saying that something possesses identity, that the identity is real, and the identity neither is extant, either internally or externally? Neither of one of those makes identity real. Ontologically, that is.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So nothing
makes
internally
the
or externally imposes the realness of identity, ontologically.
when you say the realness of identity, do you mean like the truth
I'm saying
value?
that the identity is real as opposed to it's a fiction. Is there any concrete object in the totality of whatever may exist that possesses identity in terms of its ontology?
In terms of, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Good. Now, whatever that concrete object is, it doesn't matter what it is. Is its identity real either because it's internally or externally or neither?
Either because it's internally or externally what?
Real.
Oh. I suppose that I'm not delaying. I just want to have a good answer to this question. I suppose that what it would be external, probably external factors that would render the identity claim correct.
No. We're not talking, Roger. We're not talking
Well, or
about the
real,
claim
as
being
I
correct.
think you mean. I think that's what you mean
Roger,
by when you say real.
is there a concrete object that when we say that it possesses identity, that its identity is real ontologically? Yes or no? This is not a trick question, nor is it loaded.
Could you just define what you mean by real in this context?
As opposed to it's fiction, it doesn't exist.
So what would it mean for an identity to be fiction?
Roger, if I tell you that there is a gigantic marshmallow on the moon, that's not real, Roger. It's fiction.
Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
real means in that context. I don't
Good.
know what
Now, is there any concrete object that possesses identity and that it's real?
Yeah, but what does it mean for an identity to
Okay,
be real? Like an identity relation to be real? I just don't know what that means. Like I'm not being dishonest.
You are being dishonest, Roger. Because if you're a
No,
grad student in philosophy, you know the difference between real and not real, Roger?
no, I do know, but in metaphysics, we don't really talk about real or unreal identities. It's like a very odd
listen.
use of that word.
Hey, Roger. I'm talking about stuff that's real or not real. Okay.
Yeah, but what's a real identity?
Roger. If a manufacturer in the United States says that their chips are made with real cheese, right? And then through a manufacturing investigation, they find out it's not cheese at all. It's just a flavored powder. Okay.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand
Okay.
how objects can be real.
Would they be guilty of fraud?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I
Good,
understand that.
Roger.
Wait,
Is there any
okay.
object? You see, this is what is so frustrating with you. You shamelessly play the dumb card. I don't know what you mean.
No, I mean,
And
I could explain. I could explain my point.
Roger.
Okay, all right.
You're just digging a bigger hole for yourself. Roger, is there any concrete object that its putative identity that it possesses, that the identity is real as opposed to fiction?
Okay, I'll just go. I'll just see where it goes. Let's say yes. What's the next step?
No, I don't want you to sit there. Let's say yes. I'm asking you from your point of view, does any concrete object possess identity that is real as opposed to fiction? How many times do I have to ask the question?
Well, because I think that the question is malformed. Like, I just don't think that it's.
You know what? Fuck you. You know what? You are a little deceitful little scumbag. It's not a malformed question, and you know it, and everybody listening. And I apologize for using language like that, but you really piss me off.
I'm
Okay?
sorry. I mean,
Because you,
like, look, I'm
we're
trying to
done, Roger.
understand.
Hey, Roger, we're done. You know what? I will never be talk with you again. You want to know? Sometimes
Well, that's upsetting.
I'll tell you what. Good, good. I'm glad you're upset. I have bent
Nah.
over backwards talking with you multiple times, and you have always been evasive and deceptive in a very cordial way. That's the final straw. You want to sit there and play this little dumb card when you're a philosophy grad student, okay? I'm not a philosophy grad student. I've never even gotten a BA in philosophy. Okay, whatever I know about philosophy, I've learned from reading on myself. And you're playing
Well,
the
that's
dumb
good.
card. Yeah, you're playing the dumb card. We're done, Roger. You're a little deceptive, little evasive weasel, and it's disgusting.
Okay. Okay. I mean,
So,
I
so,
apologize
so,
if
so I
that
would
was.
like to jump in here. I would like to jump in here real quick. So, Roger, for what I basically understood, what Dart was asking you is if the bottle is dependent on something else, if it has to be caused, or if it is self-existent, if it is basically uncaused and eternal. I think this is the basic question that Dart tried
Yeah.
to
So I think what I
elucidate
was.
with you, right?
Well, like if I could just kind of give the point that I was making
Yeah.
previously, because
Let me just say this. Otangelo, have you ever dealt with Roger before?
No.
Okay, what you're going to get is a verbal runaround of vagaries and generalities and a lot of philosophy speak. That's what you're going to get.
oh,
So good luck. Good luck, Antangelo.
okay. Hopefully I'm not that bad, but yeah. So the point that I was sort of going to make or attempt to make was that I think it makes a lot of sense to speak of the realness or unrealness of like particular objects or supposed objects. So we can speak about like the realness of shoes or the unrealness of unicorns, and that seems to have like a very common and intuitive type of meaning. But when we speak about identity, it seems like because identity is sort of like intangible, right? So it's like kind of like a relation. When you say like identity is either real or unreal, it just doesn't seem like that's sort of how we quantify over identities. It seems like identities are either true or untrue. Like they hold or they don't hold. So like for instance, like water is identical to H2O, right? For instance. Um is that a true is that true that identity statement, or is it false, right? And then when we talk about identity statements, we are also talking about whether or not those identities are necessarily true, right? So does 1 + 1 = 2, which is an identity statement, is that necessarily true, right? So when you say things are like real identities, it's just this is not a common usage sort of that term. So once I come to an understanding of what exactly is meant there, I could answer the question with a little bit more accuracy. Now, going to what you just said, um, do I have an opinion about whether or not like concrete objects like are contingent or non-contingent? Yeah, I tend to think that concrete objects are contingent. They didn't have to have been, and they are dependent on prior causes. Um, I'm not a necessitarian per se, in the sense that I think that they could have been or like they could have not been. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if that's unreasonable, but yeah.
I'm not sure if Dart and you were talking here about the law of identity. I'll quick quote here from Wikipedia. In logic, the law of identity states that each thing is identical with itself.
Yeah,
It is
exactly. That's what I said. Yeah. That
it,
no, that's what I meant. That when the discussion was arising with respect to like, does any object have identity? I was like, well, yeah, an object can be all
Yeah,
objects are
Roger. I'm
identical to
not talking about the
themselves.
law of identity. I'm not talking about the law of identity. I'm talking about, is the identity real? Okay, real simple. Is the identity real or is it fictional?
I think objects are really identical with themselves.
Okay, okay. You know what you just did? You are a scumbag. You just changed the parameters of the question. not to answer the question, but to answer it in the form of the law of identity. I didn't ask you about the law of identity. Okay, so you're a little deceitful little scumbag. Bye, Roger.
Okay. Right.
Hello?
Hi. Hopefully you don't think I was being a scumbag.
No. What do you two have like a personal issue with each other or something?
I don't have an issue with him.
Now, I would really try to understand and dig deeper into the argument. So, Dart, could you give an argument in regards of what just was discussed or what you tried to convey here?
I don't know. Dart's questions were pretty simple.
Yeah, okay, but
what Roger
no, I
is
mean, there's a
doing,
difference between a question.
Roger
Okay.
excels at being cordial and patient. I do not excel at being cordial and patient when somebody is clearly lying to me while they're giving their best Emmy Award-winning performance that they're being truthful, okay? I asked him, is there anything that has identity that's real? He answered the question in terms of the law of identity, that something is self-identical. I didn't ask about that. He knew that I wasn't asking about that because he doesn't want to transparently answer the question as presented to him. He answers another question with an answer that seems to resemble a germane answer, but it was not germane to what I was saying. And Roger is a graduate student and he knows better. He simply has the gift of gab when it comes to saying things philosophically, and he can segue away pretending to answer, but he didn't. Okay? Is identity real for any object?
Yeah.
Or is it fiction? Which is it,
identity...
Roger?
Yes.
What did you say,
Just
Tangelo?
yes. Just yes, it is.
Yeah, I suppose I suppose identity is
You see,
real.
he doesn't want to answer the question
No, I do. No, I
straightforwardly
do, but
because
like
he's
I
afraid
don't
of
really
where
know
it's
what I'm
going to
agreeing
lead.
to. I don't really know what I'm agreeing to when you say that the
Is that
identity...
a yes, Roger?
Yeah, sure. Okay, identity is real. Okay, so...
Roger! Eartha Roger! Eartha
yeah.
Roger! Listen, you're not
Okay.
fooling everybody in the audience, and you're making yourself look like a fool as a graduate student in philosophy. And yeah, I'm going to be confrontational to you. It's a simple question, okay?
Okay.
Now, does anything possess identity where the putative identity is real?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Is that a yes?
Sure. We could...
Okay, now explain to me why that took you 45 fucking minutes to answer.
Because you're using non-standard language to express
you know what? You're so full of shit. It isn't funny. I said the same thing 45 minutes ago as I said now.
Right, but it was non-standard when you said it the first time.
Okay, listen, Roger. I'll repeat again. You're a lying little scumbag, okay? And you do so with a cordial tone. You're a lying little scumbag, okay? You could have answered, instead of wasting 45 minutes, you could have said, yeah, there are things that possess identity, and that putative identity is real. There's nothing complicated about that. There's nothing loaded. There's nothing tricked. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing malformed about that. And you just answered it. I asked the exact same question 45 minutes ago.
Yeah,
and you wasted 45 minutes.
Okay, I didn't maybe I thought that you were using some kind of like idiosyncratic way of using
Roger, okay,
real...
Here we go again. Okay, you know what? Get off my phone. You know what? This is the thing. You fool people by your cordiality. No, yeah, apologize. Yeah, you are being deceitful and evasive, and you're doing it by segueing to answering questions I didn't ask. And then when I make the question perfectly clear that Otangelo understands it, other people on the stage understand it, people in the audience understand it, you play the dumb card. You're a lying little scumbag.
Darth, why are you getting onto him like that? He apologized to you.
Because
yeah, I don't really think that...
no, he's not apologizing for lying.
I'm genuinely trying to understand what you're saying so I can reply to it appropriately.
That's a lie. He's lying again.
I'm really not.
No, you are. You are.
So Dart, let's move forward. So the answer is yes. Where do we go from this?
Yeah.
Well, I would rather not to follow up on that, because then he'll waste another 45 minutes of segueing down semi-related rabbit trails and him not answering the questions. What's the
Well,
point
I
of
mean,
answering questions when he plays dumb?
well, it's not that I'm playing dumb. It's that,
No,
you know.
Yeah, here we
Roger,
go.
stop
He's
a little.
lying again.
Stop.
He's lying again.
Okay, yeah,
Roger,
sure. I won't
stop.
say anything. I won't say anything.
Dart,
Okay.
I would like to understand the whole line of argument or reasoning. Can you expose it? I mean, you tried to convey an
line of
argument
reasoning
here,
is
right?
this. The line of reasoning is this. When they refuse to accept the revelation of God, of himself in creation and through human history, recorded in the Bible through the person of Jesus Christ, that God is the supreme being, the creator, that he is the absolute, then when they start talking about anything, including the apple on the counter, I want to know, does the apple on the counter possess identity? What can you speak intelligibly of something by virtue that it possesses identity, real identity, not fictional identity, real identity? Now, if that identity is real, I want to know, is it real because it is self-contained, because it is unconditionally non-dependent and non-derivative, or is its identity, that what it is, okay, is derivative? I asked him a perfectly dichotomous question that he understood, but he did not want to answer the question, because either way he answers the question, it poses significant metaphysical collapse for his position. So he plays the dumb card, and when he's not playing the dumb card, he plays the philosoph-speak evasive card. Now, either you're going to say that the apple possesses identity within itself, self-contained, because it is absolute, or that there's something else that is the absolute that institutes and secures the identity that the apple possesses. Either way, you're going to have to explain how whatever it is that is the absolute. If you deny that there is something that is absolute, unconditionally non-dependent, non-derivative, all right, then you're going to have to explain, why does it exist?
I fully understand the whole line of reasoning here. Did you have any difficulty, Roger, to understand what Dart just said?
Well, yeah, when he explained it out in further detail, I think I get the general gist of what's being articulated.
That's what I said 45 minutes ago, Roger.
So, Roger, would you agree with Dart that the bottle is not self-existent, ultimate, self-contained, and
Yeah, of course. I said that. Yeah, I said that a while ago. Yeah, that
Okay.
I don't think
Now,
that the object is
why does
self-existing and eternal.
what institutes and secures identity, Roger?
Nothing.
Okay, so identity exists for no identifiable reason whatsoever, either internally or externally?
It's a very difficult question.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking it.
Yeah, sure. So I think that identity exists.
Okay, Roger, remember, I'm not somebody that you can verbally bamboozle.
Okay, I mean,
does something that possesses identity exist
let him speak. Let him explain.
without any
yeah,
shut up?
Dart, he
Does
understands the
something
question.
does
Understand
identity
the
exist
Dart,
with no identifiable reason whatsoever?
let him explain.
does anything
Yeah,
exist
so
for?
Roger, answer the question, please. I think it
Yeah.
was clear enough.
Okay. Yeah. Does anything exist for no identifiable reason whatsoever? So that's just concrete entities. I would say no. Yeah.
So what is it, Roger? Why does any concrete object exist? Is it because it's self-contained or derivative?
Derivative.
Okay. What ultimately is absolute that imposes that state?
Absolutely ultimate. Nothing is absolutely ultimate.
Okay.
In
then
that
if
way.
nothing, then guess what? So you're saying that nothing is ultimate or absolute. Is that correct?
No, I think that there are things that are absolute and ultimate, but they don't cause things.
Okay, Roger, we're talking about concrete entities here, Roger.
Yeah, sure. Okay, well then, there are no
is there
concrete,
anything,
absolute, and ultimate identities, yeah.
Okay, good. You push the doomsday button. It's over for you. Lights out. Okay, because
Roger,
now
you need to explain.
Let me
Roger,
say
you
one more
need to
thing.
explain why the bottle has that identity, why it exists, and since you
can't. He already
agree
admitted
that
he
it
can't.
is not
Right. So
self-contained.
sure. So it's a right. So when it comes to metaphysics, I mean, if we're talking about like self-identity and things like that, I mean, I'm not necessarily. I don't know whether or not. First of all, I'll say things like this.
Roger, why does anything exist?
Why does anything exist, like, at
Why
all?
does anything? Yeah, why does anything exist at all?
I just think that might be a brute fact.
Okay, a brute fact is something that is stipulated to exist without any identifiable reason, either internally or externally, as to why it exists. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I just.
Okay, thank you. You push the doomsday button. Now, when you speak, there is no identifiable rhyme or reason why anything is. It doesn't matter that you give me a chain of succession. That chain of succession will always terminate in I don't know. And by the way, when you talk about a chain of succession, then you're going to have to explain the causal principle. Is the causal principle real, Roger?
The causal principle. I think that the causal principle, depending on your theory of time and your views on time travel, might not be true.
Is the causal principle real? Are you an atheist, Roger?
I don't.
Are you an atheist?
I'm a B
You
theorist.
want to go there?
I'm not an A theorist. I'm not an A theorist.
Are you
I'm a B theorist. I'm a B theorist.
Okay, good. So your human reason tense language is simply fiction when humans use it.
I think I think tense language reduces to
is it fiction? Okay, so every time you use tense language, you're speaking fiction to people.
It's not fiction.
So Roger, so Abraham Lincoln.
Well, in a way, it's a fiction.
Roger, right now, okay, in the totality of everything, in your B theory of time, Abraham Lincoln is the president, the 16th president, excuse me. He is the president of the United States, and he's not the president of the United States in the B theory of time, right?
Let me quote you here
no,
quick.
that's not what B theorists hold.
Yeah,
that's not what
all moments of time equally exist in the B theory of time, Roger.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Okay,
so
true. Abraham Lincoln is the president, and he's not the president.
Well, no, because truth statements are indexed to the time at which they're expressed.
But we're expressing them not in the A theory of time in terms of presentism. We're expressing it in terms of the B theory of time.
Yeah, so a B theorist wouldn't think that's true.
No, it would have to be true because you see, the moments of time in the B theory are just earlier or later. They're not. It's not before or after. It's a logical ordering. It's not a temporal ordering.
I mean, I know. I'm aware of I've written a 150-page thesis about the B theory.
So the B theory of time means that our human experience is an illusion.
No, well, our experience of the passage of time is an illusion. Yes.
Right. So when we speak, so when we speak of things coming into existence and going out into existence, all of the tense language whatsoever is simply fiction and an illusion.
Yes.
And do you live that way?
Do I live? Yeah, I think that's true. Yes.
You do? Then explain to me why you use tense language.
Well, tensed language is a useful
no,
fiction.
It's a fiction.
It's a useful, it's a useful fiction. It's a shorthand. The things they don't have an ultimate.
You're full of crap.
No, well, no. This is just the B theory.
Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Do you know that there is no absolute time?
I have arguments thinking that the type of. I don't think that the A series. I don't think there's an A series. Yeah.
Okay. So the point is this: where did you get the idea that so in the A theory of time, causation is also fiction?
And the A theory of time, causation is fiction?
No, on the B theory of time.
No, causation on the B theory of time is not fictitious.
It is fiction. No, causation, when people normally talk about causation, okay, they're talking about a temporal becoming relation. Okay? In the B theory of time, causation, one thing does not cause another. It only stands in an ordered relation.
Yeah.
Okay?
So with
So,
this,
for example,
okay.
before the moon rocket was lit, and then after, the rocket wasn't moving toward the moon at any point because it was lit early on, because all those moments equally exist. There's no causal relationships between each moment in time.
Yeah, I think this is a
Cause,
confusion. This is a confusion. On the A series and the B series, the same events happen in the same exact ordering. It's just a different metaphysical
no, no,
description of
yeah,
what's going
they don't
on.
happen. They don't happen. They are.
Right. No, but like the thing is that the A
But
series and the
that,
B series describes the same timeline.
then causation,
So the same thing would happen.
yeah.
The same things
So
happen.
so in other words, if a mugger puts a gun to your head and he pulls the trigger and he
Yeah.
blows your brains out,
Yeah.
he didn't cause you to blow your brains out. It's because these things just all equally exist in
Well,
one grand moment that is
that's
subdivided
not
by
really
an
true. I
earlier than
mean,
later.
that's not really true. I mean, you could have a counterfactual theory of causation, in which case
Yeah,
you'd be
what does it mean?
fine. It would
Okay,
get around it.
explain to me how something causes something in the B theory of time where one event precedes another. Okay, a
Yeah.
person pulls back the cue stick, they strike the cue ball moves across the table and hits the 8 ball. Okay,
Right. You could have a yeah.
explain to me in those series of events in terms of the B theory of time. Explain to me causation there.
Yeah, so you could have a but for theory of causation. So this would not have happened but for this event happening. And then that would
No, no,
explain it. So for
no,
instance,
no. All
let's say
moments in
that
time
okay,
equally
you're
exist.
not letting me explain it.
No, because
So
you're not addressing the question.
yeah, no, so the thing is that theories of causation on the B theory, right? Um are true in the sense that like so you could have but for theories of causation in the sense that like, or counterfactual theories of causation, where like had this event not happened, this subsequent event would not
No,
have happened.
there's no. You're using language that is reminiscent of presentism and the A theory of time. All events
It's
in the
not
B theory of
okay.
time, they all equally exist on the time that on the block of time, right?
Yes, that's true. Yes.
They all equally exist. So any before or after is not tensed. It's just a logical ordering.
Well, it's yeah, it's an indexical ordering. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So there's no actual causation as it is normally used in human language.
Well, yeah. Well, then that means that it's possible we could just be wrong about causation then.
No.
If like I mean like why
The
think
point
that
is,
why think that's a
listen,
reductio in the B theory?
in presentism, A causes B, B causes C. In the B theory of time,
Well,
right?
why? I mean,
A
why think that's the case?
that because that's what entails in presentism and the B theory of time. In the A, excuse me, I misspoke. In the A theory or presentism, A causes B, B causes C. In the B theory of time or in block time, right? All of those moments equally exist. The only
Yeah.
difference between them is their logical ordering. There's no antecedent causes other than the fact that there's a logical ordering when you
Yeah,
look at
they're
them.
ordered in the sense that okay, so let's give an example.
Does
So
A interact with B?
you're just not letting me speak. You're just
It's
monologuing a little
simple.
bit.
Yeah, well, I'm not monologuing because, oh, you want to accuse me of monologuing? What a BS artist.
No, I mean, look,
The
like I could
bottom line is,
explain. Okay,
the bottom line here is this.
okay.
I'm asking you why
Art, you
anything at
need
all
to let
exists.
Roger speak a little
Just
bit.
tell me
So
why anything exists.
Dude,
Why?
this is uh, look, like I could explain to you what I think about these kinds of things, but if okay,
Why does anything exist?
I feel like we've gone over this. I told you that I don't
Well,
think that I think that the universe is probably eternal. Um,
and where'd you get that from?
I think that there's powerful evidence to think, at least from physics, that it's eternal. Additionally, I think that a lot of the arguments for past finitude aren't fantastic.
How could you instantiate that anything is eternal, Roger?
How could I instantiate that it's eternal?
Yeah.
How can I instantiate it? I mean, I just think that perhaps this is like a weaker conclusion, but I think that all of the arguments that have been offered,
Roger, how
did
you determine anything is eternal, Roger?
Okay, yeah. So I'm answering the question. So
you didn't. That's why I repeated it.
I feel like you're not even letting me speak. So
good. Answer the question.
Okay, so the reason is because the arguments that say the past must be finite fail, and then in conjunction with that fact, there are consistent physical models of the universe that are past eternal.
It doesn't follow from that those are true, are they?
No, but they give evidence of the facts. They evidence the claim that this is possible.
They give explanations. Are any of those explanations true?
Are any of those explanations true? They haven't been proven false.
Okay.
I mean,
they
could be true. They could be true.
Okay, Roger, have you given me an explanation that is true as to why the universe is past eternal?
Like, look, I'm not a physicist in the sense that I'm going to.
Do you have an explanation for why it is true that the universe is past eternal?
Do I have an explanation? I've read studies and I've done research that indicates that this is a valid.
You're pissing me off again. Stop twisting my question. Do you have an explanation that you can show to me that it is true that the universe is past eternal?
This isn't, well, I mean, all I could do is refer you to models. I mean, that, themselves may or may not be true.
When you stipulate then that the universe is past eternal, is that simply a conjectural model?
Is it a conjectural model? Yeah, I think all models are basically conjectural to a certain degree.
Okay, good.
Sorry, what was I to say?
Then all you're just simply telling me
isn't eternal though a time period?
Your conjectural model is undifferentiated from a figment of your imagination because your reasoning. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. Your conjectural model, therefore, is consigned to the abyss of a figment of your imagination because such reasoning doesn't claim to be rooted and commensurate with the mind of God. I'll ask you a simple question. Is your model of why things are, does it originate in the mind of God, and is it commensurate with the mind of God?
No, because I don't have a mind.
Thank you. Now, is there a way for you to determine that any model in terms of what things are on the grand scale of things is true? Is there a way for you to do that?
Like some kind of theory of truth? Yeah, I'm probably a correspondence theorist.
Okay, Roger, you're doing it again. Okay.
Yeah, well, that which is true is that which comports to reality.
Roger, you think I was born yesterday? What you're doing is you're using your skills as a graduate school student to pretend like you're answering the question when you're not. I wasn't born yesterday. I've had this very precise debate with hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Now, how did you determine that your model of things on a grand scale is true? How did you determine that? I want specifics.
Sure. So, how did I determine? I looked at the arguments.
Mind you, your model of reality is a universal declaration, right?
Right. So
good. How did you determine that universal declaration is true?
Okay, sure. So, the way that I determined, for instance, that I don't think that the traditional, I mean, like, look, let me clarify this by saying, like, I'm not a physicist per se. Like, my work is
Roger,
specifically.
You're not answering the question. You are just simply being verbose. I'll ask the question again that you are attempting to dodge. How did you determine that your universal declaration is true?
Well, because I applied, I studied it, I applied the reasoning that I thought was appropriate.
That's not informative, and that's you are now.
Okay, sure.
deploying
I think that the Carroll.
Hold
I
on
think
a
that
second.
the.
Hold on a
My
second.
God.
Do
Okay.
you know what the prevaricator's veto is? The prevaricator's veto is that when somebody poses a question to you and it's problematic to you, you just prevaricate, so you stall, dodge, and delay.
Okay, fine. I
don't
think
want.
that I think that the Carroll. Do you have anything that refutes the Carroll Chen 2004 model of an eternal past?
Can you? Okay, what
Do
you're doing?
you?
Listen. Do you
Do
think you're
you?
fooling me by the question?
What do
This
you
is
think? Do you have
not
a? Do you have
answering.
a?
Okay,
Do you have any? Do you have a refutation of the
I
Gottlieb model of
wasn't
an eternal
born.
past?
I wasn't born yesterday.
Do you
What you are
not?
doing is
Okay.
dodging the question.
Yeah, you don't
Roger,
have a refutation of
how
those
did you
models.
determine? Roger,
You don't.
I've listened to Sean Carroll.
Do you
I've
know? Okay,
listened to a
fine. What
number.
about what
Okay,
is?
Roger.
Where does
Hey,
Richard
Roger,
Gott say?
stop fucking interrupting me, Roger.
I can
Because
play
now what
this
you're
game
doing
too.
is what you're doing
I can
right
play this
now is
game.
called the heckler. Hey,
I can play
Otangelo,
this game.
mute his dumb ass if he doesn't stop over talking.
Okay? That's just unfair because you've been doing it for the past
You're doing the
hour.
heckler's veto now.
Look,
Okay?
I can play
I'm
this
going to ask
game.
you a question.
Dart, listen,
How
Dart.
is it true?
Dart. I would appreciate if you don't cuss. If you don't call
I would
names.
appreciate it if you would stop him from deploying the heckler's veto.
Darth, you've been doing
Roger,
this for the past hour.
how, Roger? No, I'm not deploying the heckler's veto. The heckler's veto is a verbal disruption in order to stop the other person from transparently and honestly speaking. All of my interjections was to stop you from prevaricating, which you do, and you do it skillfully. Now, I'll ask you again. How is your universal declaration that you make about the world? How did you determine that it is true and not fiction?
How do I determine that it's true and not fiction? The Gottlieb model of an eternal past universe is persuasive. That's how.
Okay. That it doesn't follow from that you're persuaded that it's true.
Yeah, it does. I'm telling
No,
you,
it doesn't.
it's
Good.
persuaded. Yeah, the Gottlieb model
Right.
is
Now,
consistent with the laws of physics, and it predicts
Roger,
an eternal past.
I'm gonna shoot
So does
straight
the
from the hip.
Penrose theory.
Okay, Roger. Do you think you're fooling me right now? You're not addressing the question.
No, I am addressing.
Okay, Roger, listen to me. Explain to me why your universal declaration is true. Explain
that the universe is past eternal. That the universe is past eternal.
Why is that true to the absolute exclusion of its negation?
Right. So the reason why I think it's true is because there's evidence in its favor that's represented in physical models described by physics.
What is that evidence? Can you point out? You just say there is evidence, but what is it?
So there are models that have been produced by physicists that are consistent with the laws of physics.
Evidence? Is a model evidence?
Do you see how
I think that models are constitutive of. I think that models are constitutive of evidence in the sense that if you could build a coherent model that explains all of the relevant facts. No. Okay.
So Roger, my model is that farting pixies produced the universe. How is my model less concise or eloquent or plausible than yours or Sam Carroll's one?
Well, because I mean, okay, so the idea is to say that you have to weigh the models in terms of theoretical virtues and theoretical vices. How much of the predictive power that it has, the degree of ad hocness, explanatory scope, explanatory power, and hang on.
Roger, stop.
Okay, no one's okay. If you're not gonna let me talk, if you're not gonna, no one's letting me talk.
What you're doing
I might as well
is
like leave.
monologuing right now. You're good. It would be good.
Dart, let him talk quick. I want to ask him here.
He's monologuing.
Roger.
He's yet
Yeah,
to
Dart, let me
answer
quick
the question,
answer.
Otangelo.
Dart, let me quick ask him here.
Oh my God.
Roger, how is the model Sam Carroll proposes not an ad hoc model or an ad hoc assertion? It's just something which he has invented. No.
Right. So okay. So there are 2 points to make here. So the first point is that if he just invented it, quote, is like a reason to like distrust the account or the model or the theory, then like that cuts both ways. That's not really, because I could just say
You're not
like
answering the question.
I could just say that
Wow, you know what?
that you just plucked your theory too.
You are
So
a
I don't think that that's a
prevaricator
point against Sean
supreme.
Carroll. The
You see,
second
he's
point
shameless in his prevarication.
No, okay, whatever. Okay, so the second point is that his model about the eternality of the past, so him and Chen's model, does square with a lot. It doesn't violate any of the laws of physics that we know, so it's non-logically possible.
Okay, how does it
has
not
a lot of
violate
predictive
the
power
second
with
law
like
of
the degree of
thermodynamics?
dark matter in the universe.
Okay. Well, let me.
It screws with like
hold on a second.
thermodynamics.
Does Sean Carroll know? Hold on a second. Does Sean Carroll know in a way that he cannot be wrong that the
But
laws
no one
of
has
physics?
but
hold on a second.
not Cartesian certainty.
Let me finish it. Good. All I want to know from you is, instead of you monologuing like you're talking to Miss Johnson's sixth grade science class, you're talking to a grown adult that's old enough to be your father, and I'm not easily fooled by people being verbose. I want to know why your universal declaration is true, and you told me it's true because you believe it. That's what you said.
That's not at all what I said.
You said it's true.
I mean, I said it.
You told me it's true because it convinces me. I'm persuaded by it. Did you not say that?
I'm saying that
I'm persuaded that it is.
I'm saying that I have warrant in believing it because I'm persuaded by the evidence
in its
favor.
Is your reason inductive, deductive, or abductive?
It's either inductive or abductive. It's probably might be inductive.
Okay, well then you can't get to a logically necessary conclusion through inductive reasoning.
Yeah, but I'm not. But look, no scientific theory has Cartesian certainty, right?
Roger,
I don't know what you that. Then you just have that's a debunking argument against science.
Your universal declaration.
So that's not a good argument.
Is your universal declaration one of science? Yes or no?
The universal declaration that the universe is past eternal. I think it's likely. I think it's likely. I don't think it's definitely true.
No, I didn't ask. Okay. Now you've contradicted yourself. You've absolutely contradicted yourself, because a few minutes ago I said to you, is your universal declaration true, and by what means can you know it is true?
I said, I think it's true. I think it's true.
Okay. I didn't ask you if you think it is true. I asked you, by what means can you determine that it's true?
Yeah, and I said through the evidence that I tried to determine it through the evidence. Yeah, that's. I mean, how do you determine that anything is true? Reasons and evidence.
Is it necessarily true?
Is it necessarily true? I don't know if it's necessarily true.
Okay,
I mean,
so you're just
it's logically possible that the universe could have had a beginning.
Shut up! You know what? You are just one deceitful little graduate student. Now,
why ad hominem?
Is it why be? It's not an ad hominem. I'm not saying.
Yeah, you are engaging in personal attacks, and it's pathetic.
Okay, listen,
stop
to
it.
Me. That's not an ad hominem. I didn't say that.
Stop it. Just
wrong.
Stop it.
Okay, hey,
focus
Otangelo,
on the argument. Don't focus on the people. Come on.
Get rid of this guy, Otangelo. Okay,
look,
it wasn't an ad hominem. Okay. I didn't say he was wrong because of his character. I'm simply just pointing out his deceitful character. Okay, so that's not an ad hominem. Now, is your universal declaration necessarily true?
Necessarily true? No, I don't think it's necessarily true. I think it's possible. I think it's logically possible that the universe could have had just a contingent beginning.
That. Okay, could you be wrong about that?
Yeah, I could be wrong. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not necessarily true. So basically, since your universal declaration is not rooted and grounded in the mind of God and how he reveals himself in creation, then it's based upon your human reasoning, but you're not omniscient. So are you in a position to say that anything at all is necessarily true?
Am I in a position? I think so. Yeah, I think.
Good. Tell me what is necessarily true and what fundamentally is true that imposes that.
I think that identity statements are necessarily true, like 1 + 1 = 2, or those types of things are necessarily true.
In order for that to be true, you would have to have an instance of identity, right?
No, I think even if there was nothing to instantiate the universal, the universal would still be true.
Then all you're just, I could just sit there and say, Mumbo jumbo plus you blue blue equals kerflunkle. It's just true by definition.
No, because that has no reference.
Okay, all right, okay, okay, that's right. Now, do you require a reference?
I think.
Do you
and I think
require a reference? Okay, good. Now I'm going to ask
Yeah.
you a very simple question.
Yeah.
And this will probably be the last one I'm going to ask you. And this is going to expose you to everybody in the room what a devious little liar is.
Yeah, sure.
What is your ultimate concrete reference point that dictates why anything is?
I don't think there's an ultimate concrete reference point.
So nothing.
I don't think it's concrete.
So nothing dictates why anything is?
No. I don't think that there's
Is there
a concrete reference point.
Is there one thing that is concrete as opposed to an abstraction?
Look,
I'm going to keep on going. I don't care if you keep on talking. Is there one concrete thing that dictates all instances of what is?
No.
Okay, so now you're in a realm of chaos because there's not one thing that dictates why all instances are, can be, and cannot be. Therefore, you have nothing fundamentally that you can point to that is absolute that dictates why anything is. Is there anything?
That's the slip. That's where you get slippery.
Is there anything that is absolute?
Platonic objects.
Okay, we're talking about concrete stuff. Scumbag.
Right. Okay, listen, Darth. You're asking. No, Darth. You're asking the question in such a way where only the answer that you want is the one that would satisfy
it. I'm asking you
it.
about concrete things. See, now what you're doing is you're just bickering to save your rear end.
I'm not.
You about concrete things.
Darth, I don't need to save myself.
I'm asking you about concrete things. You see, now you're getting worse into the muck that atheists do. You're just bickering with me rather than answering my question. Now, is there
I've been more than cordial.
Concrete? Is there no, you haven't been cordial. Because if you were truly cordial, you wouldn't be evasive, you wouldn't prevaricate, and you wouldn't be deceptive, and you wouldn't play dumb, which you have been doing all of those things. Now, I'm going to ask you again, is there any concrete thing that is absolute?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then you can't invoke that identity is real for anything.
I disagree that follows from that.
Listen to me. Is there something that dictates that something possesses identity?
No, there's not a person who dictates it.
I didn't say that. I said, is there anything that is concrete that dictates, that institutes and secures that anything at all
that causes it to? That causes something to have identity?
Listen carefully.
Because when you say dictates, it does something.
Listen to me. What you're doing now is you're trying to be really clever.
No, I'm not.
Okay, listen carefully. You're not that clever. I'm surprised that you're not doing better as a graduate student in philosophy.
No, I'm doing very well as a graduate student.
No, you.
Yeah, I give you really good marks. I think you've tolerated interruptions quite commendably, so I think it's unfortunate that Darth has continued to interrupt you when you've tried to give a response honestly.
Otangelo, please stop this. Okay? If you're going to be mod, then mod this. Now, Roger, is there anything that is concrete that imposes, either derivatively or non-derivatively?
I don't think so.
What?
Okay, Dart. Dart, I will mod this. Okay, so I will do this. You ask a question, and Roger will have 2 minutes to answer, and then you reply without interrupting.
That sounds pretty good.
I should have left a long time ago because
that
Roger is stuck
decent.
on. Yeah. Hey, Otangelo, listen to me. If you don't stop the hecklers up there in the room, not only will I keep you blocked, I'll kick you out of any room where I'm modding in from now on. So you better start modding, Otangelo. Now, Roger.
That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. So my suggestion is, I give you
is trolling here. Please stop him.
Well, Dart, I am suggesting that you ask your question, and we give Roger 2 minutes.
That you mod IO.
Well, what do you want me to do?
I want you to remove IO if he trolls
Wow,
again.
is that how you treat a discussion? Come on, Darth.
Okay, Otangelo.
I've just addressed your bad faith comment.
I really don't want to ban you from any room I'm in the future, but if you don't start modding, then that's going to be the final straw with me, okay? You have to stop being a little
I
jellyfish.
Okay, listen, I removed him, okay?
Thank
Now
you.
I will suggest this. You ask the question to Roger,
Thank you.
and you give him 2 minutes to answer without interrupting him. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay,
I
go
will
ahead.
not interrupt him as long as what he says is germane to my question. If it is a smokescreen,
that has gone on for over an hour, and he seemingly hasn't given you the answers that you want.
Is there no reason whatsoever as to why identity is real for concrete objects?
Okay, I'll answer that. Okay, so there, to me, so for it, if I understand what you mean by identity to be real, I'll just take it as I've understood it. I think that the reason why identity relations, which I think is what identities are...
I didn't say that. I didn't ask you about identity relations.
I mean, okay, so to me, it's okay, so if you don't mean identity relations, because when I say that identity, so something is identical to something else, right? That's a relation.
Stop. I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't talking about that. You're changing the subject like you did before. You're not answering the question.
No, because, okay, no, but I'm clarifying.
Do you need me to repeat the question, Roger?
Derek, did you want to say something?
Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I heard the question. I just, Derek seemed like he wanted to say
something. I said, is there nothing that institutes that identity for concrete objects is real?
Yeah, so I'll answer the question. I think that there's nothing that there's nothing that like causes it to happen. I suppose that there are
I don't want you to tell me suppose. Is there no reason whatsoever where identity is instituted as real?
No, it's not that there's no reason. I think that the identity...
Is there something that institutes why identity is real?
Is there something that institutes it?
Is there anything at all that actualizes identity?
I feel like I'm not getting the time to explain things, but maybe I'm alone in this.
I'm repeating the question because you're dodging and you're changing the parameters of the question. Okay? Now, you can answer the question.
Okay. So, right, yeah. So I think that the thing in virtue of which items are... things have identity is probably... and again, look, I'm not an expert in persistence over time with respect to identity. I'm saying that with respect to mathematical objects, for instance, I think that certain things are necessarily identical.
We're not talking about mathematical objects, Roger. Roger, I asked you a simple question and you keep on dodging. Is there anything at all that institutes the actuality of any instance of identity?
I don't think it causally institutes things. I don't think that's I don't think that there's anything that does that.
No, Roger. Roger.
Yeah, so I'll take that as a no. I guess that's a no.
So nothing institutes that identity exists.
Again, there's no. I don't think there's anything that are you talking in a causal way?
Roger, does anything...
Could you just answer that question?
Roger,
could you answer that question? Are you speaking causally?
I will answer it. Roger, is there anything at all that institutes why identity is real, either intrinsically or extrinsically?
I feel like that's a different question than the question that you asked before.
Roger, is there anything that institutes the actuality of identity, either intrinsically or extrinsically, to the thing in question that possesses identity?
Institutes? I mean, okay, I'll say yes. I'll say that logical laws do. I'll say that logical laws institute them.
No, logical laws are universal abstractions. They don't stand in causal relation.
Okay, so you do mean it in a causal sense. You do mean it in a causal sense. Okay.
Roger,
I don't think then I don't.
Roger, stop being deceitful and twisting what I am saying. Okay?
I'm literally
I'll
repeating
repeat the
what you're
question again.
saying.
No, Roger, you're twisting what I am saying. This is why you're a little deceitful little weasel. Now,
no, I'm not a
is there
deceitful
any?
weasel.
Okay, yeah,
I've
you are a
forgotten more on this
deceitful
subject
weasel.
than you know.
I've talked with you many times. This is the game you play every single time, right? If you weren't so deceptive and evasive in your answers while pretending to put on this little show that you're answering,
Darth,
you're not.
I'm not
Is there anything?
deceptive and
Is there any
imprecise.
good? If you're not deceptive, then answer the question.
No, your
Is there
questions.
anything? Is there anything? Wow, this is what you're doing. Now you're getting into the heckler's veto again. Now, listen carefully. Is there anything that actualizes identity, okay, where something possesses identity? What actualizes identity for anything that does have identity? Either
There's nothing that
intrinsically
stands in causal relations in that way.
Okay,
I don't think there's anything that's.
no, Roger.
Yes, you
I
did.
didn't talk
3
about
seconds
causal
ago, when I
relations.
invoked abstract objects, you said causal
Roger,
relations.
do
So
you
you
hear
are
how
speaking
upset I am
causally.
with you? Do you hear how upset I am with you? I said to you, what actualizes the identity? Actualization can either be external or intrinsic. If it
Why
is
can't you? Why can't you
external, okay,
answer? Why can't you just have a
Roger,
dialogue where
shut
we
the
go back and
fuck
forth?
up.
Okay,
Shut the fuck up,
you know, if
Roger.
you're going to tell me to shut the fuck up, then
Yeah, well then stop
then
cutting me off.
I think that this is
Then
not a
stop
good faith
cutting me off.
dialogue.
Okay, good. No, it is a good faith dialogue on my part, but it certainly isn't on
No, I
your
don't think
part.
it is.
Now,
I don't think
okay,
it
when I
is.
say actualization can refer to causation, but it doesn't necessarily entail it because something could be self-actualized. Okay, is identity real in terms that it is caused or self-actualized?
I don't think it's caused, and I don't think
Okay, is
that
identity self-actualized?
like the object itself makes itself identical with itself. Is that what you mean by
No,
self-actualized?
Roger, you keep doing this. You did it again.
Right.
You are
I'm
now
asking you to
bringing in
clarify your
Roger. Shut
terms.
the fuck up,
I'm
Roger.
asking you to clarify your
Roger,
terms.
Roger, stop over talking while I'm explaining it to you. You
Okay.
keep on introducing the principle of identity, that something is self-identical to itself. I'm not talking about that right now. That's another subject. You're deliberately trying to segue away from the question. Anything that concretely possesses identity, is its identity intrinsic and self-actualized?
Atangelo, could you rephrase what he's saying?
You see what a bullshitter he is?
No, I'm not a
This
bullshitter.
guy claims he claims he's a graduate student in philosophy. I dumb the question down to him so many times, and they're like, "Oh, I don't understand."
No, wait,
That's
no, Darth.
deception,
Like,
Roger.
Darth, if you let other people talk in
Does
the audience,
anything
I'm guessing
possess
they would want
identity
clarification
does
too.
anything
Like,
possess identity in a self-actualized way that it is absolute within itself?
no, I don't think things are. I don't think that things are absolute
Good.
in
So
themselves.
identity for any concrete object is not self-actualized, right? Is that your position?
No, do you want me to lay out my position?
Roger, is there any concrete
Okay,
object that
it's like
possesses
that. No.
identity that its identity only exists because it is self-actualized?
Again, look, I think that things are identical.
Okay, you're doing it again.
What
You're
do you
doing it again. I
what do you mean
didn't
for?
say identical. I said identity, not
Yeah, okay.
identical.
So something
So
has
stop.
identity.
So yeah, Roger.
Okay.
Anything possess identity concretely because it is entirely and intrinsically self-actualized.
Like the object created itself? No.
No, I didn't say created itself. I just said self-actualized.
Yeah, so
It just
actualize would
is.
mean to create. Like, you
Me.
mean like the
No,
Aristotelian sense
Roger.
of actualization?
No, Roger. You're not going to bamboozle me, Roger. You know what I mean about self-actualization What I mean is not self-caused, because that would be incoherent. I means it simply is what it is, non-derivatively. Its actuality is intrinsic to itself and not derived, which means it would be unconditionally non-derivative and non-dependent. Now, does any concrete object possess identity in that its identity is self-actualized, meaning its identity simply exists in and of itself, non-derivatively and non-caused?
There was a lot there, but I mean, I suppose that might be
I've
plausible.
broken it down many times for you.
Roger,
Okay.
let me answer that question. I will continue this with DARTH, and if you think that
Yeah,
I am
I'm
not
sorry.
answering
Look,
You're a
I think
as you
you're a little
would,
lying little weasel. You should be
I'm
ashamed
not
of
a lying
yourself.
little weasel,
You
Darth,
are
and
a
I
yeah.
have
lying
nothing
little
against
weasel.
you.
And if I was
DARTH,
your professor, I'd give you a fail.
Darth,
can you ask me?
I think you should take my class. I think you'd benefit.
Yeah, you're awful. You know, you are a disgrace for somebody who claims that you are pursuing a graduate degree in philosophy, and you're so evasive and deceptive in your responses. It's a disgrace.
No, I don't know. I mean,
Roger,
right.
give me
Okay.
5. Roger, give me
Yeah, sure.
5 minutes.
Sorry, yeah, I'll tap
I
out.
want to
Yeah,
continue
well, he's a
this.
little lying little weasel.
Okay, so DARTH, your question is if the bottle is unconditionally self-existent, independent. What else did you say?
The model. Are you talking about his cosmological model?
I was talking
I want to know why anything at all exists fundamentally. Either anything at all exists because it is self-actualized, meaning that it's self-contained. But you see, Roger wants to play the little weasel and impugn that I'm saying it's self-caused, which I was not. Now,
right.
in certain context, for example, if I cut my own hair, okay, if I cut my own hair, that's self-actualized. But there's a cause to my haircut, which is my own self-consciousness. When I say self-actualized, Roger knows precisely what I'm talking about. He knows that I'm not talking about, quote, self-causation, which would be incoherency. It's self-actualized is the entity in question simply exists, say. It exists self-contained and non-derivatively. Roger understands that. But if he answers the question transparently, he's going to be in trouble philosophically and theologically. So what he has to do is he has to change the parameters of the question while pretending to answer the question, which he's not. Okay? It's called rabbit trailing. Okay? And it's deceit. It's deception.
Dude,
Okay.
can I say something real quick? That Roger was actually debating what real means, and that's a grad student in philosophy. Philosophy rots your brain.
No. I disagree with you. The problem is not with studying philosophy per se, because even unbelievers who rigorously study God's creation, his revelation, can learn things even though they may be inconsistent when they're using borrowed capital from the Christian worldview. The problem is that when they take certain things that they learn, that are good and of worthy of acceptance in terms of philosophical discussion, and then they deploy it with sinister motives. And that's what Roger was doing. He was being evasive and deceptive the entire time while trying to win an Emmy Award performance that he was being transparent, which he wasn't. He is a deceitful young man.
Well, he was always in the gray zone. Everything was in between.
The gears were always, you can tell the gears are always turning. How can I get out of this? How can I get out of this? How can I get out of this? Okay? This is what, by the way, this isn't the first time. I've had at least a dozen other interactions with Roger, and he does the same thing every time. That's why I'm supremely pissed at him. Because I get pissed when people lie to my face, piss on my leg, and tell me, oh, I'm not pissing on your leg, it's raining outside. Okay? Roger was
Darth,
being evasive and deceitful.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
It's off topic, but now you've been doing this for a lot of years, and pretty much everywhere you go, someone's recording you.
Hmm.
So I just was wondering if there's ever been a time where you're just like, I don't want to go in this room, or I don't want to discuss this topic because I don't want to deal with being recorded.
No, no. I think people, if they listen to the entire context of this, they're going to see I am being, if they're being fair and honest, that I'm being righteously indignant. Now, sometimes I may say things that I shouldn't say, like when I told them to fuck off, right? I shouldn't say that, right? But I'm
Yeah, but it was
pissed.
kind of funny though.
Well, look, listen. I'm sick and tired of these people coming in who they are pathological liars, and yet they want to pretend that they're as clean as the wind-driven snow. Do you know that I strive when I'm dealing with these people? I make a concerted mental effort to ask questions, at least from my point of view, that are narrowly framed and are intelligible. Now, at times people say, well, I don't know what you mean. Fine, I'll give you further clarification. I attempt to ask circumspect, truncated questions, right? So that it doesn't allow for them leeway to monologue their way out the wazoo, right? So that we can get somewhere in the conversation. But they come along and they boulder dash like you heard Roger do the entire time. He was nonstop in evasive mode. Okay, did you notice every time I asked him about identity, he wanted to change the parameters to identical in terms of the law of identity, that something is identical to itself, it equals itself. I wasn't
So Dart,
talking about that.
can we resume what the argument here is? Let me try to rephrase what you tried to
I
convey.
actually know exactly what Dart's talking about. If you give me 1 second. So he was saying
Hold on.
actually
I'm sorry,
refers to the
Barthologist. Hold on
idea.
1 second. I just came here to talk to Darth real quickly.
Why
Hey,
am I
Darth.
getting cut off, man?
1 second. Hey,
I'm an idiot.
Darth. I gotta open a room in the Ask the Satanist Club about a half an hour. Go for 3 hours. There's people there that have never spoken with you. I'd love to speak with you if you want to drop by.
Not when you're moderating, because you're another lying scumbag.
Well, I'm a fair moderator. I moderate better on
No, you're
Tangelo.
not. No, Bishop, listen.
Anyway,
I
open
would say
invite,
this,
Darth.
Bishop. I would say this to your face, whether nobody was here. You are a lying scumbag. I have dealt with you on many occasions, and you have never not engaged in deceptive